We are live. It is time for the main event of the evening. Welcome to No Dumb Questions, where the smartest person in the room is not the one with all the answers, the one with the best questions. And tonight, I'm very excited because we're going to have a guest who I don't know. And I wanted to find out more about what she does. It's happening, cuz. There you are, sis. All right. There we go. That's you.
I'm not hearing anything. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. You can't hear me? I'm waiting for you. So, as Sister Mercer gets a sound on bound, I'm excited to talk to her tonight. All right. How you doing?
I can hear you.
Good. So it's a pleasure to meet you.
It is absolutely an honor to meet you. I don't know if you saw that I have, been a fan of yours for years. So all the way back to when I was working, I forget what show I was working on for Steve for TV One, but it was around the same time that you were doing Save Our Sons. And so it was incredible to see your name pop up in my inbox, to say the least.
You're very, very kind, and I mean that sincerely. Thank you so much. I'm so fortunate that I get to do the work that I get to do, and in so doing, I get to meet these amazing sisters like you, who, by the way, have to have the most creative glasses I've ever seen. You've taken the Dwayne glasses.
My inner Dwayne Wayne today.
Taking Dwayne Wayne to a whole new level. Dwayne Wayne would be very, very proud. So, sis, I'm excited to talk to you because I saw some of the work that you were doing with children moving. I call them children, right? I know they don't feel like it, but children moving into college.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so Moving Day Mafia is the nonprofit that I founded back in 2022. It was born, well, who we are first is I call us a mob of volunteers who descend upon HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities, to take care of students who have either aged out of foster care, are homeless, or grapple with severe financial hardships. This year, Dr. Perry, I am proud to say that when we are done, we will have moved in 44 new students at 19 HBCUs. And it started because in 2020, I had just moved to Atlanta, and I had started a virtual bingo game that took off. And because I am a graduate of the Howard University, I'm unapologetic, insufferable, and obnoxious about that.
Not unlike the other Howard alums.
I was going to say, if you met any of us.
Who are typically so low key.
Yeah. So, but I love all HBCUs. I was raised in an HBCU family. And when I started seeing the graduations get snatched and canceled, and these students who have worked so hard, some of them, as you know, being in education, some of them are crawling to the finish line, but they don't have this big culmination now because their graduations are being canceled. And so I asked God to show me a way where I can help. And that virtual bingo game that I created for the masses now became HBCU bingo. And we raised over $1 million in cash and prizes in less than 4 weeks. And we gave it away in a series of epic virtual bingo games to the 2020 grads of HBCUs that year. It got national attention, and CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell asked for an interview, but they also wanted to meet one of the grads. That's where I met the young lady who inspired Moving Day Mafia, because when she went to her HBCU, she was aging out of foster care. Her social worker drove her to campus, pulled up to the
Can
curb,
you tell
and
what,
let her
because everyone
unload.
doesn't know what that means. So you and I, we do this work, but you say aging out. I want you to take a second to explain what that means.
So when a student in foster care, depending on the state that they're in, they're just done. Like wherever you land, wherever you can fit in, get in. And some students have dropped off at homeless. There was a viral video with Dr. Jamal Bryant, who's showing a student that her foster care parents, when she turned 18, they dropped her off at a homeless shelter on her birthday. On her birthday. And this is the story of many students who are aging out of the system. Now, you do have some states that the age limit is extended, that they're still be under their care till they're 21, sometimes 24, and so on and so on. But for the most part, if you aged out, you're on your own. Suddenly you 18, you're an adult, and you should be able to figure this adulting out. Heck, I wasn't figuring adulting out at 18, coming out of a good parent home with a full, family of support. And so when I heard about this student and I heard her story, I did what I do. I asked God to show me what we can do, and Moving Day Mafia was born in 2022. We built it in 52 days.
Wow. That's my dog Ditto, who is making sure that nobody's moving in downstairs. So you mentioned that you decided, well, you asked God what to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to stay here for a second, because I don't think people truly understand when you age out in some states, it is what it sounds like. You didn't have active parents who were in your life. You live in a foster home,
Yeah.
which, for better or for worse, depending upon how the foster parents are, could go one very bad way or a very good way.
Yeah.
But the nature of the foster relationship is one that in many cases is known to be temporary. And there is no worse way to engage a child than to give them a sense of temporary hope. So how did you decide that of all the things to focus on, move-in day for college?
So it was because when Ashante, the student who I'm referring to, until her, I had never considered this population.
Right.
It never had dawned on me, like, what do these kids do? When I went to Howard, the Howard University, when I moved in, there was family there doting over me. My mom had shopped for everything that goes into my room. And being that, my background is working in Hollywood for 25 years, I'm a storyteller. So the minute I hear a story, something, I translate it into an imagery, like images started coming to mind. And so I actually envisioned, one side of the room has an entire family, doting over this freshman. And then on the other side of the room is a kid who barely got there and maybe have showing up with a backpack of their belongings. And here's the thing for me. These kids are already beating the odds. 70% of kids who are in foster care dream of going to college, and yet only 3% go and 1% graduate. So these kids who are going to college are already beating the odds. So there's something about them that has them persistent and in hot pursuit of their education. Now, let me take it to another level. Howard had 37,000 applicants this year, Dr. Perry, for 3,000 slots. Clark Atlanta broke records. They had 47,000 applications for 2,000 slots. These kids are getting in. They're not only beating the odds to go to college, but they're beating the odds to get into these top universities, these top HBCUs. So how dare we not do something to get them to the finish line of seeing their dream realized?
So many children go to college without the simplest knowledge of what to pack. Talk to us, take us back. When do you engage the children? How do the children come to you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know my experience going to college. I was first to go to college, and you know, my mother I was born on my 16th birthday, and so I honestly I had trash bags. I had trash bags.
Wow.
There was no internet to
Wow.
do a search of what do you bring back to college. There were
Yeah.
no dorm room videos in this age where, I mean, the parents who do go kind of hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they're in a different lane.
Yeah. $10,000 in a dorm room design.
Stop.
Yes, I saw that article.
Stop. All for the gram. So you juxtapose that where it's a Target run, it's a full day or two of just doting. I mean, and I'm not. Please don't get me wrong. God knows I've been in Target
Right.
for a little
Right.
while. You know.
Right.
So the juxtaposition of that, because if you are among the 2,000 who got in, you're special.
Yeah. Yes.
And if you did so in a crib where you don't have an active parent, you did so on your own, you found this school, a Clark or a Howard or a Hampton or whatever, you found that school and you got your little behind in there, you're special. But on this day, those other children are going to be the ones who feel super special. Talk to us about how you meet the children, how kids apply, what you do. Take us through the whole process.
So I love that question and giving me the opportunity to break it down, because as you described, many of these kids are coming from environments where they just figure it out. You know, they're used to being self-reliant, independent. And so they were going to make it happen with or without our help. If they have beat the odds to get into these schools, they were going to make it happen. They shouldn't have to, which is where we come in. So we put it out there on social media. Sometimes the HBCUs help us get our message out. And they apply, and then they interview with myself and my team, where we actually start getting to know them. The one thing that's really unique about Moving Day Mafia is, and you mentioned, how you showed up to school. My mom is here. Hi, Mom. My mom dotes on me. My mom still dotes on me at 51 years old. So moving into Howard, there was no expense spared that she could afford. She would miss things for herself to actually make sure I'm good at Howard. And so I'm bringing that experience to the table of knowing how it feels to be doted on. So with Mafia, there's no, we're going to go to the store and just bulk buy detergent and we're just going to hand it out to them. All of our scholars, once they are accepted, are given a questionnaire that's asking their favorite toothpaste, their favorite deodorant, their favorite detergent, their favorite cereal. What kind of snacks do you like to have when you're studying? We are actually individualizing, personalizing, customizing, all the icing for these scholars so that they know that they matter. They have had to figure this out up until this point. They don't have to. And the way we earn their trust is that show up with all these babies love them some Welch's fruit snacks. Welch's, if you're listening, I need a sponsorship with you, because they love them some Welch's fruit snacks. But individual, I got one baby who loves Honey Smacks. I got another baby who loves Cinnamon Toast Crunch. They get what they ask for, and which is why it's so important for us to have partners, to have donors who understand that this is an investment. It costs us about $3,800 per year per scholar, because we're so individualized on what they need and what we're giving to them. And so we have to have partners who understand that we are not just dropping them off. They get this fantastic, TV show worthy, dorm room to reveal Pimp My Dorm Room or something. Yeah. But they actually get monthly care packages with their needs. And here is what
Wow.
I love
Okay.
about this.
Okay. Okay.
Here's what I love about this is we've seen that because we've taken this stress off of them, we've taken this pressure off of them for their basic needs. They have the mental capacity, the mental bandwidth to explore, to grow, to expand. We got kids who did internships with judges this year. We got kids who did internships at Chase. We have a kid that's interning at the Atlanta mayor's office. Why? Because we've taken this stress off of them and they don't have to work 50, 11 jobs to make sure they got some deodorant. So they can actually go explore other activities.
So you and I, we're going to push right now because we want there to be a move-in mafia at every single HBCU for every single child. That's right. We're going to push them. We're going to push our people, right? Because I think it's easy to take it for granted that somebody feels cared for. I visited a neighborhood public school on the West Coast. It was a really wealthy community. It was overwhelmingly white, wealthy community. And I remember they had dads. It was an elementary school. They had dads whose job it was to take the kids out of the car. I haven't heard a mess like that before. There was just a whole street full of dads.
Yeah.
And they had the little green penny on, like crossing guard thing, and they were all lined up and they had umbrellas and all sorts of things. And this wasn't a first day of school thing.
Yeah.
This was every day. They had parents who had a waiting list to volunteer in their classes. Mm-hmm. These children don't know what it's like to not be the center of everyone's attention.
Yes. Yes.
Then you have your children.
Yeah.
Who may not have ever experienced anything like that. How do you get some of the scholars who probably don't even know what to ask for to ask? Because a lot of them, if we're going to be frank, were told a long time ago by the circumstances under which they live, stop asking. Because they've gone from house to house, and a lot of them have everything that they own can fit in a backpack, which may be some pictures or some memorabilia, something, a memento from somebody. So for them to say, I'm going to need a convection oven, and I'm going to need, how do you get them there?
So it's a challenge, and you, first of all, I got to just honor, you nailed it earlier in your statement that it is well documented that I have said my mission is that we will have a Mafia chapter on every single HBCU campus before I take my last breath. That is my mission. So thank you for recognizing that part. But to your point, the first phase of them coming into Mafia is earning their trust. It's really earning their trust. And you're right. A lot of them put, NA or I don't know on their questionnaire about, what is their favorite, because nobody is asking them. They have accepted
that the deodorant that they have is the deodorant that's in the house.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so they don't even think, like a girl. She may not think that girls don't usually smell like that.
So to your point, let me tell you, you will really appreciate this. So I have a scholar at Prairie View. I reveal, because we always do a big room reveal. So they don't get to see their rooms. They don't have to participate in the, setting it up. We do everything for them. And so when I revealed her room, she loved it. But Dr. Perry, it was when I opened up the bathroom cabinet and she saw that we had bought her boxes of Always Maxi Pads. That is what brought her to tears. Same thing happened with my baby at Fisk. She loved the room. She screamed when she saw the room. But when she looked over and saw that we had bought her stacks of her favorite candy, Kit Kat. This just happened last weekend. I moved in a scholar at Lane College, a young man who is one of those students that just showed up with his backpack. When I revealed his room, he didn't see the room. All he saw, I'm not exaggerating, all he saw and made a beeline for was the box of Pringles potato chips that we had bought. And when I tell you, there's no greater feeling of knowing that we are making a difference by those little things that we take for granted. I will walk in Target and go straight to the aisle where the maxi pads are, grab my favorite, I'm out the store. I take that for granted. A kid at North Carolina Central, she saw the rug on her floor and she looked at me and was like, Auntie, I've never had a rug. This was a baby who had been living in her car until move-in day. So this is the impact, but it takes us a minute to earn their trust because they think we are too good to be true. They said that to us. There was a young man at Lane. He's a 6'8", plays in a band, gentle giant. When I revealed his room to him, his classmate is the one that said, I have never seen him smile like that. And I was like, really? She was like, I have never seen Antonio light up like that. That is the impact that we're making, that they not only, but then the other thing is not just the tangible things. What I'm so freaking proud of this year alone is we implemented called the Mafia Momentum Team, because last year we lost a great bit of scholars because they were showing up not understanding their financial aid packages and that they have balances they have to come up with. So they weren't even making it past the first semester because they didn't have an advocate. They didn't have anybody explaining this to them. So to fix that hole, we implemented the Mafia Momentum Team, where the first thing they do when they come to us is they sit down with a counselor, a financial aid counselor, who breaks down what they need, how much money you got to have. Here are your options. Let's look for some scholarships. And baby, these people are no joke. They have sat on the phone with financial aid advocating for these babies. So we're now earning trust sooner and faster because we're advocating for them earlier, knowing that they don't have to figure this out.
That's one of the hardest parts. We all celebrate the joys of historically Black colleges. There's the other side.
There's the other side.
There's the other side. There's the other side. And it's real.
It's very real.
If you are not armed with people who truly understand the other side of being a student at an HBCU, it will be a very short trip.
Yeah. Yep.
Woo,
you could have said you. Woo, yes, because I'm dealing with some stuff with yes, Lord Jesus, yes. It's a whole other battle.
It is, and we don't often talk about it in mixed company for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go too far down that road out of respect for that. But I will say this as it relates to the children. One of the great challenges that we see is children who are doing it themselves, or even children who are doing it with people who don't know as much as they think they know, will make the decision to attend a school that they simply cannot afford.
Yeah.
How are you starting to have those conversations earlier with the scholars? Because it's clear that the Moving Mafia part is part of the process, a very, very important part, but not the story.
Yeah. So in the end, that's a great question. So with Moving Day Mafia, one of the things that we've implemented this year, because don't get it twisted, I need everybody to understand, we're new. Like, we started in 2022 with 13 scholars at one HBCU. 2023, we did 31 scholars at 5 HBCUs. This year, 44 scholars at 19 HBCUs. So we're learning, growing, evolving, developing, hitting our head against the wall, figuring out what worked, what didn't work. So what we have implemented this year, though, is during the interview process, I have a real conversation that point blank asks them, how are you planning to pay for school? And they either can tell me that they've got grants, they've got loans, or I start gauging what level of understanding do they have about, how much this school is going to cost. And quite frankly, I had to decline a student this year that when I even asked him, do you know how much this HBCU costs? And he was like, no. I'm like, okay, we're not big enough to handhold you on that level. I need you to come through at least having an idea. But then the Mafia Momentum team steps in knowing, okay, student A at Clark now, we need to walk them through trying to maybe find some more scholarships so they don't have to take out this hefty loan. Our student at Morehouse, so there's a very individualized approach now, so they're not showing up to school with a big surprise balance.
So I'm sure you do this, but in some states where the children are in the foster care system, they have a worker, and in some of those states, when they go to college, it is paid for.
Mm-hmm.
So do you talk to their workers as well?
So that's the beauty of, like, I won't say that I'm versed in all the states yet.
No.
But I know.
No, I am not either. But
but Texas takes very good care of their foster kids, in that they pay for them to go to college as long as they're going to a public university. And then it is a state requirement that every college has to have a person designated for just this population.
Good.
So we tend to, like, for instance, Prairie View has an incredible Fosters for Success, I think the program is called. We work directly with him to then tell us what scholars, he can send to us. They know that their education is paid for, but they may have other fees or something that is required. So it depends on the state that the kids are coming out of. Some states don't have the budget to be, that specific, but Texas is one of those states that I can say they genuinely are caring about, giving these students the best leg up that they can.
I love what you're doing because it speaks to a very important niche, a gap in service that could, to the casual observer, seem frivolous, but to someone who truly understands the complications of being poor, it could be the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because so many of the children don't feel like they fit on a college campus anyway.
Yeah.
So to get there, you can't even put a poster up. You may or may not have deodorant.
Yeah.
You may or may not have feminine products. You got a couple pairs of clothes that you got to run through pretty regularly. And, a lot of our schools, children who can do, and they dress up a lot, which could remind somebody of their earned poverty. I want us to
well, before you say that, I also want people to understand something that I learned about this population, Dr. Perry, that was really a surprise to me. That this group of kids are some of the most compassionate, generous kids that you'll ever get a chance to meet. And so at Prairie View, for example, I had several scholars at Prairie View last year, but I could have taken on more had they applied. So when I flew to Prairie View to check in on our 9, we were in the office of where the foster care kids hang out, and we did a pizza party. And so there were kids that I didn't recognize. And so Mr. Norman, who is head of the department, wonderful, wonderful job he's doing. I asked him, Mr. Norman, why I don't know these kids? And he's like, I'm going to show you. And so he called one in there and said, Brian, you remember this program, Moving Day Mafia, that I told you about that would help with your dorm rooms and other supplies? And Brian was like, yes, sir. He said, why didn't you apply? And what this baby said just knocked the wind out of me. He said, because I thought someone else may have needed it more. That is the mentality of these kids. But with Prairie View, we've had to go around the block and almost trick them because they won't apply if they're thinking they're going to take a spot from someone else. So with Prairie View, we've had to have Mr. Norman nominate them because
Okay.
then they don't feel like they're taking a spot. He's nominated them. But that just gives you the insight to their mentality of
Look, some
why
people are
they are
just better
working
than
in
the
this
rest of
way.
us. Like really, some
Yes.
people, I mean, let's just call it what it is. Some people are just better people. Some people are
And these
honestly,
kids,
that was my non-foster son calling. But some people are just better than other people. And when you get the chance to be a part of the work that you're doing, it actually is better for you than it is for the kids. Yes?
yeah, okay, you got me. There is, let me tell you something. There is no greater feeling than when I'm standing there, and this is especially for my young men who are like, try to be hard and, and I'm standing there next to them about to reveal their room. I'm making them wait. I'm, making them even more nervous and antsy. And when I finally take the blinder off so they can see their room, they don't say anything. They freeze and then they just grab me in a big old bear hug. And I can feel them trying to hold the tears in because you can't let them see you sweat. You can't show weakness. So I'm just standing there holding them and letting them, because we always exceed their expectations. They're coming in with very low expectations. So that ain't hard. But because our rooms are each room is professionally designed by Nikki Klug Design Group, who's been our partner since day one. And she actually custom designs each of these rooms. So they're blown away that we've paid attention to that they are gamer. So we've got gaming Leon signs in their room. They are blown away that I'm learned that they're into vinyl records. So we've taken the time to put vinyl records, stick them all over their walls. And so when they see this, they're just so overwhelmed. They're trying to process it. And then also, trying to keep the emotions at bay. And there's just, like, I'm even trying my best to stay professional, not to let you see me cry,
Listen,
because thinking of
we both gonna cry in a minute.
just thinking of what these kids have overcome. We have kids that have found their parents dead. We have kids that lost both parents right before move-in day. We have kids that are just being disowned by their parents for whatever reason. We have kids that are living in their cars waiting for move-in day. And so to see that we're giving them a space that's theirs, we're giving them a space that is things that they have chosen. This is often the first time that these students have chosen what's in their space, the colors. Their one young lady was so surprised that we asked her what are her hair products. Her hair products. Because she has big, thick afro or whatever, and she's handed some Pantene. Ain't nothing wrong with Pantene, but Pantene ain't do nothing for
Pantene
this baby's hair.
is not for her hair.
Right. And so just to see that they are blown away, that we care enough that they are getting what they want. And that's why I cannot ask enough. Please go to movingdaymafia.org, donate, help us take care of these babies because they're worth it. We are educating and walking beside the next Dr. Steve Perry. We are educating and walking beside the next Thurgood Marshall. So these kids are worth the investment.
Just help us to understand how, if somebody wanted to start, because I know that it's got to be hard because the move-in dates don't always coincide. So for you to get from one place to another, it's a lot. You become Mrs. Claus, and we appreciate that. But I think that I hear that your mission is to make sure that every single child gets to experience this, not so that you have to be at every single one, but to
Right.
create it. Okay. So let's say someone down at Bethune or FAM or somebody at Morris Brown wanted to start a chapter. Could somebody on campus, so for instance, could a person who works on campus, or could the fraternities or sororities do a peer version of this?
Yeah, so that's
Could a
what's
church do
beginning to
this in their
happen.
community? Okay, good,
That's
good,
what's
good.
beginning to happen. I'm not comfortable of them starting a chapter right
Certainly,
now because we're
certainly.
still building what our processes are, and for the integrity and the way we take care of these
Sure.
students. We haven't reached that capacity. But what is happening is now we're having team leads in this area. You
Okay.
mentioned Bethune-Cookman. I didn't go to Bethune-Cookman. I didn't have time. I'll forget where I was. I think I was at Wiley College or somewhere, but I had a team at Bethune-Cookman. And so we're now building out our volunteer processes. We're building out, and our volunteers have been amazing. We're all 100% volunteer run right now. And the way these people have shown up and been committed to be boots on the ground to make sure that this room is set up over here. We have a team in Texas from the Jack and Jill Foundation who now have
Okay.
taken
Go
control
Jack and
over the
Jill.
Texas.
Okay, Jack and
Yeah,
Jill.
the
Go
Texas
ahead.
kids. A young woman just called me the other day who represents the Department of Labor, the D9 Infinity Group within the Department of
Okay.
Labor, reached out. What kids do you need us to take care of? So then that is what is beginning to happen as we grow and develop our processes. It's not necessarily they're starting a chapter, but we're starting with learn how we move these kids in,
Certainly.
be in charge of this particular demographic of students at this school.
So I saw your story. I was moved by it, um, because there's so many people on this here internet who want to be insta famous for things that don't really move the needle. And there's a population of children who are often overlooked. They've been overlooked their whole lives, and they're special, special. These kids who you are working with they're different. They're built different. Um, if you are fortunate enough to have one or two or three of these children be part of your life, you've really lucked out. And in your case, you're working with an entire family of them. So I want to congratulate you on the work that you're doing. If someone wants to get in touch with you, can you tell us again how to do it?
Yep. MovingDayMafia.org. You can donate. We take credit cards, Zelle, Cash App, snail mail, everything. And then if you want to volunteer, MovingDayMafia.org. We need volunteers all year round because we need skill sets to grow the organization. We need fundraisers. We need people skilled in logistics. We need people skilled in processes. And so there's a spot for you in Moving Day Mafia if it resonates and you want to see how we can expand we moved in 44 this year. My team is going to cringe when I say this. Maybe we can move in 88 next year.
That's their job. Their job is to
I know
cringe, and
they're
your
like, oh
job
my
is to
God,
make
no,
your job is to make them cringe. And let's put out a challenge, right? If you are fortunate enough to be able to send your child to a historically Black college, and you are someone who can support your children, then maybe put a couple dollars in the direction of Moving Day Mafia so they
yeah,
can do the same thing on that same campus. Because you never know,
you
that
never
little
know.
girl or that little boy may be your son or daughter's roommate.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it be nice for them both to have a super cool room and,
Well,
and,
one
a,
of
and,
the
a,
things
and a nice
that,
house?
my team is they're gonna cringe when I say this publicly, but there's this internal thing that we laugh about is TJ is gonna get on the pole. If y'all don't raise this money, she's gonna have to go down to Magic City
Hey,
and do a couple of sets. So this year we have
let's
a
keep
campaign called
TJ off the pole.
Let's Keep TJ Off the Pole. That's the campaign. It's called Keep TJ Off the Pole. We are going for 1,000 donors to commit to doing at least $20 a month with us to keep me off the pole
Okay.
because I ain't above. If we get enough donations, I'm making cancel my set at Magic City
Okay.
tonight. I'm just
we
saying.
we were gonna do what we can. So folks, you want to give, go into movingdaymafia.org. That's moveindaymafia.org. That's movingdaymafia.org, and keep TJ off the pole. And let's make sure that we provide for these amazing kids who she is clearly willing to go the distance for. Sis, it's a real pleasure talking to you, and I guess re-meeting you
Yeah.
The time at TV1 was fun, and this is super cool too. So thank you so much for all you do, sis. We're gonna stay in contact with you, and whatever way I can help out, we're gonna do what we can too. So thank you
Well,
so
I gotta
much.
say, it was not only a pleasure for me. Like I said, I meant it. It was an honor. To begin to meet people and somehow attract them into my orbit that I've been fans of from afar for many, many years. I'm just really tickled by it all. So thank you for having me to talk about something that is very, very dear to my heart.
It means a bunch to me. And finally, for those families who you may know somebody in your church right now who is in the foster care system. You may know somebody in your mosque. You may know somebody on your son's basketball team or daughter's cheer squad. Can you tell them how they could apply for Moving Day Mafia when they go to school next fall?
Yeah, so just go to movingdaymafia.org. Everything stops at movingdaymafia.org. Applications, obviously are closed for this year, but we will reopen back probably around May, right around graduation, where people, the kids are just determining what schools they're going to commit to. But definitely movingdaymafia.org will have the application on there.
Thank you so much, sis. You have a great night.
Bye, Dr. Perry. I
Take care.
appreciate you. Hug yourself for me.
Thank you.
Okay,
Likewise.
bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.